What's going on, nation? Today we're going to be discussing the 7 dumbest mistakes when performing the barbell bent over row that's sabotaging your back gains. Now, the barbell bent over row is like the barbell bench press for your back. In this exercise, we're going to be targeting your upper back and we're going to be focusing on the overhand version. And it's because we're focusing on the overhand version that we're targeting more of the upper back muscles, like your traps, rhomboids, and rear delts. Now, we will be activating lats doing this exercise as well, but the primary focus here is going to be mid and lower traps, which is great because these are muscle groups that are often neglected in workouts. Another great thing about this exercise is that because we're targeting the upper back, we're basically counterbalancing what the barbell bench press does for your chest and shoulders. And another great thing is that we're going to be helping your posture as well. No more walking around with rolled shoulders like this. We're going to strengthen that upper back. Everything's pulled back nice and tight like this. And we're going to be improving your posture. And one more benefit is that we're also going to be getting a lot of core and lower body activation. Now, the exercise might be bending over and pulling like this, but if you're pulling a substantial amount of weight, number one, you got to engage your core as hard as possible in order to keep yourself from going into flexion. And number two, in order to hold this weight, you're going to have to engage the muscles in your lower body like your glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves for stability as well. But before we get started, if you guys haven't turned on video notifications yet, make sure you do so you never miss another video upload. And if you want to see the rest of the videos in my Dumbest Mistakes series, I'll post a link down in the info section below. All right, guys, so mistake number 1 is having straight legs during the lift. And before I show you guys what this means, real quick, when approaching the barbell to perform this movement, I want you guys to grab it just outside of shoulder width apart. In fact, because like I said, this is like counterbalancing what the bench press does for your chest and shoulders, it might even be worth your while to use the same width grip that you use on the barbell bench press when grabbing the bar. So I'm going to get my outside shoulder width grip on here. I'm going to take a step back just like this. And now, as far as foot position on this exercise, guys, you can stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. You can go a little bit outside of shoulder width, or you can do what I like to do, which is a bit wider stance like this, so that as I perform the movement, I can sit between my legs and have more stability, especially as I start lifting heavier weight. Now, what's going to happen if you have straight legs during this exercise is it's going to completely throw off your center of balance, and it's going to bring all of the weight and transfer it to your lower back, causing you to go into lumbar spinal flexion, which can cause a serious injury. And what I mean by that is, if you keep your legs straight and just bend over like this, the point at which you're bending is all right here. So everything, all this weight is being held in the air by your lower back. And your lower back isn't going to be able to handle 225, 255, or 315 pounds for a set of 8 to 10 repetitions. So what happens when your legs are straight and you bend over like this, you're going to go into spinal flexion and you're going to hurt yourself. But if you sit between your legs and you arch your back a bit, you can see just from this movement, I can stay in the exact same position. Straight legs, I'm in flexion. If I just bend my knees and lower my hips and sit back, it's like my back just fixes itself just from doing that one movement. So mistake number 1, straight legs. Don't do it. Mistake number 2 is not bending over enough when you do this exercise. Like I said in the intro, guys, this movement, yeah, we're going to be hitting a bit of our lats, we're hitting our traps and rhomboids, but we want to primarily utilize this movement to make sure we're targeting the mid to lower traps because not too many exercises target this area, and we don't want to be neglecting that. We can do a lot of exercises that target the upper traps, but the mid to lower, we're kind of limited. So when you perform this movement, guys, you're going to get into position, but if you're only bending over like this and pulling the barbell up, you're activating mostly upper traps when you do this. Now, the reason why most people do that range of motion is because they can lift more weight. So it's more like ego lifting. And your ego isn't going to do shit for your mid to lower traps. What you need to do is lower the weight, bend over pretty much parallel to the floor, and then pull. And you guys are going to see I'm getting a lot more mid to lower trap engagement, and I'm pulling the barbell pretty much to my sternum. You can go between your belly button and sternum, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Just make sure you're getting that mid to lower trap engagement and make sure you're feeling it on every single repetition. Mistake number 3 is that you guys are standing up while performing your repetitions. And this can happen for one of 2 reasons. The most common reason is because you're lifting weight that is way too heavy and you're using momentum. So you start off like this, bent over like you should be, and then you use momentum to bring the bar up, and you're just doing this. And everyone's looking at you and they're laughing because they don't know what you're doing, besides not actually training your muscles properly. Now, the second reason why you might be doing this is because you're just starting to fatigue, and like I said earlier, it's easier to pull from here to here with more weight than it is totally bent over and parallel to the floor and pull here to here. So you guys might be doing proper range of motion for the first 3 or 4 repetitions, and as you fatigue, you might be trying to compensate by slowly standing up so you can keep pulling the same weight. But before you know it, the set's over and you're almost standing up completely, almost standing straight up, where you started down here and you end right here. So if you notice that's happening to you, what you need to do is just adjust for your rep range. The whole point of this is to target the mid to lower traps, and if the weight's too heavy, just put it back, lower it, and then make sure you can do all of your reps with the proper form for the rep range you're trying to target. It's that easy, guys. Mistake number 4 is that you're putting too much tension in your neck and spine. And the reason why this happens to most people is because, let's just face it, we like to look in the mirror and we like to see all the muscles moving, we like to see how big we look and how pumped we look, but when doing an exercise like this, it's not necessarily the best thing for you to do. When performing this movement, guys, you want to have a neutral spine. So you want to have your face facing the floor and pull like this. If you're lifting a lot of weight and you're forcing your head back like this and pulling, and you're doing this just so you can look in the mirror, I mean, even without weight, just using the barbell and forcing my head up like this, you're creating all kinds of tension in your neck and spine and all kinds of tension in this area where you can easily pull a muscle, especially in your neck, and that doesn't feel too good. So when you do this exercise, focus on the movement. Keep a neutral spine, and the less pressure and the less things you're worrying about up here, the more energy you can drive into the actual movement and the more weight you're going to lift, which is going to help your gains. Mistake number 5 is that you're not keeping your chest up throughout the movement. Now that might sound weird to you guys because you're bent over like this and you're staying parallel to the floor, but you still want to keep your chest up. By keeping your chest up, that's going to allow you guys to avoid going into lumbar spinal flexion. Now, as you're doing the movement, you're pulling the barbell to your sternum like this, keeping your chest up. If the weight's too heavy and you start crumbling, see how I go into flexion right here? That's taking a lot of this pressure and putting it directly on your back, and it's going to transfer to your lower back and can possibly cause a lower back injury. So if you notice that throughout the movement, you're not able to keep your chest up like this as you perform your repetitions, then chances are you're going too heavy. And if you don't want to risk a lumbar spine injury, lighten the load and do your reps at proper form. Mistake number 6 is that you're not properly engaging your core throughout the lift. Now, obviously, depending on how much weight you're using is going to change how you guys engage your core. So, for example, if I'm doing lighter weight and more repetitions, engaging my core is important, but I can get away with maybe not engaging it as much or as tight because the weight's lighter and it's not going to pull me forward. But when you start doing your really heavy sets, focusing on that core engagement and keeping this area as tight as possible is going to make all the difference. It's going to make the weight feel, heavy weight's still going to be heavy, but the weight's going to feel a lot heavier if you're crumbling at the core as you're trying to do the repetition. So what I mean by this is when you get into place and you bend over and you're lifting heavy weight, you want to take in a breath at the bottom of the movement. And as you take in your breath, that's when you're going to engage your core. You're going to keep all the air inside, squeeze your abs as tight as you can, pull up, come back down, and then that's when you reset your breath. Take in a breath, keep it nice and tight, boom, come back down. Now what a lot of people do is they breathe out as they bring the weight up. So if you're lifting a lot of weight and your core's nice and tight right here, and you breathe out as you lift the bar, so you're breathing all of the internal pressure that's keeping you from falling over and going into spinal flexion. So if you guys want to lift heavy and not have to worry about spinal flexion and hurting your lower back, take in that breath, keep your core tight, and don't release it until you get back to the bottom. Now, if you have a hard time with this internal pressure, I'll post a link to a few videos down in the info section below that'll show you guys how to engage your core properly. All right, guys, and the 7th mistake people make is probably the one you want to pay the most attention to. We're saving the best for last here. And this has a lot to do with mind-muscle connection. So if you're a beginner, you need to listen up and really pay attention. Now, this exercise, okay, when you perform this movement, you do not want to be focusing on grabbing the barbell and pulling with your hands. And it might sound weird to you, but you have to really keep this in mind. What you want to do is you want to focus on pulling with your elbows. Think of your hands as just hooks that are holding the weight, and you want to try to pull from here. By pulling at your elbow, it's going to disengage a lot of your biceps that normally you would be activating. Of course, you're still going to be using your biceps to perform the movement, but if you want to learn how to use more of the muscles in your back, you have to visualize pulling from the elbows in order to bring that barbell to your chest. Now, another big part of this movement is you have to make sure that you're getting scapula retraction, or else the exercise is useless. And that's a lot of the times when I tell you guys don't use momentum, especially on exercises like this, is because you won't really get that scapular retraction and you won't get that muscle activation that you're looking for, and there's the whole reason why you're doing this exercise. And what I mean by that is, once you are bent over like this and you have the barbell in your hands, try doing this as like a 2-part movement before you start lifting heavy. Just use the barbell to practice this before you guys start getting really heavy with this exercise. And what I want you to do is a 2-part movement where you retract your scapula first, and then as soon as you squeeze and retract your scapula as much as you can, then pull with your elbows and bring it to your sternum. And then repeat that the opposite way to bring it back down. So get a nice dip just like this. Keep your chest up, proper form. Retract with your scapula, and then pull the barbell to your chest. And as you get better and better at it, you'll be able to do it in a fluid motion and still get that scapular retraction with heavier weight. So if you have a hard time with mind-muscle connection, this is the perfect time to practice it. Use lightweight, get the form down, and don't make these crucial mistakes because your gain will suffer. All right, guys, that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more dumbest mistake videos for other exercises, leave your suggestions down in the info section below. As you guys know, I'm always creeping on those comments. And to be honest with you, it's been really fun showing you proper form on some of these movements by showing you what not to do. I think it goes a bit further into the exercise, shows you guys exactly the reasons why you're not supposed to do specific things, and you can take this knowledge with you to the gym and really improve your gains. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And for those of you who are looking for a full 12-week program to build muscle and strength, make sure you click the link down to my transformation challenge down in the info section below. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.